Thank you for watching and listening to the 10-Minute Checkpoint Podcast. Is free-to-play gaming for the multiplayer side killing diversity? Let's put 10 minutes on the clock, and here we go. All right. This is a very interesting topic. I know it's not really something that's buzzworthy, but it's been something that I've been pondering for a very, very long time. I've been like a huge champion for multiplayer games. I'm absolutely love and adore multiplayer games. It's something that I'd rather have a multiplayer game over a single player game. And granted, I've played some of the best single player games of all time throughout my years alive on this earth. And I just got to say, there is nothing like competing in a multiplayer space when you're competing against another person and you know that you outplay them. Ooh, that is the spice that I live for to add to my life as a gamer. And so, for years and years and years, you walk along, you go ahead, Super Nintendo, I mean, it doesn't matter, live and local online play, it doesn't matter, right? All of a sudden, free-to-play becomes a thing. Free-to-play has always been a thing in the mobile scene, and there's always been microtransactions all over the place. But all of a sudden, free-to-play became a very popular coin term, or whatever you want to call it, during the Battle Royale emergence. All of a sudden, you had people releasing these AAA type games, these huge multiplayer experiences, and they were free to play, particularly, of course, Fortnite and Warzone, of course, Apex Legends as well. So you have the big three that we love to mention here in the 10-Minute Checkpoint Podcast. The big three most popular games in the world. The big three getting the most viewers on all streaming platforms. The big three that is getting the most views in all video on demand content on TikTok, Instagram, all those kind of fun things are free to play. And I didn't notice when it first happened, when I was playing Call of Duty Blackout, which is the Black Ops Battle Royale for Treyarch, when it first hit the scene, when all of a sudden they made a really cool concept that Call of Duty could be a Battle Royale experience. And I'm playing and I'm having a ball of a time and I'm streaming. And someone walks into my stream, metaphorically, of course, walks into the stream, or figuratively, walks into the stream and says, "Is this game free to play?" And that's when I knew we have a problem. That's when I knew that there is going to be this notion that if the game is not free to play, then it's not worth downloading or buying at all. It's a very interesting problem that you would think on paper, hey, free to play games, why not? It's free. Doesn't cost a thing. But now you run into this issue. And the more and more I begin to see it, the more and more I begin to stream, the more and more I begin to play different games, is more and more it's becoming a problem. Rocket Arena, a great EA Originals game, was just $20. One of those games that I knew that would do really well, plays really well, really fun game, very tight-knit game. But because it costs money, did not do well. And that is the issue that free-to-play has happened, is that these are the real kind of consequences of it. It's these diverse games, these really great games not having any legs to stand on because immediately they get chopped out. And because of that, the multiplayer communities suffer within those games. Rocket Arena, gone within a couple of days. You have games like Knockout City, which benefited from a lot of PlayStation Plus being free to play, which had a really cool program where the trial was 2 weeks free, and all of a sudden, $10. Not as popular as it was. Immediately not watched as much on different streams. The free to play notion is really taking out these AA, these indie multiplayer experiences right immediately away from them. And I find it very unfair. And this is what's created this phenomenon in gaming as a drought, especially on the multiplayer side of things. It's always a huge question. Do we charge for our game or give it away for free and hope to recuperate our costs in battle passes and in cosmetics? This is the question that devs have to go through. And it's the same thing that happened in a game called Drawn to Death. They were on the line of whether going to a PlayStation Plus or going to a charge, and they went the route of charging $30. Great multiplayer. Third person, really fun, very fast and hectic. It was very funny as well. Granted, the humor is very toilet humor. It's in the mind of a teenager, but still, the bare bones of it, it's a really fun multiplayer game that did not survive at all because of the cost. Now, you could argue this could be that the cost of gaming has gone up. The consoles are very expensive. The PCs are very expensive. The hard drives are expensive. The peripherals are expensive. Now you're spending money on $200 controllers. So where's the cost going to be cut? In the actual software in itself. So you're seeing this continuation of this whole free to play. And now it's becoming, I would say, a thing that's going to continue. I don't see it slowing down at all. When Apex Legend came out free to play, it's an instant download. It's an instant, let's check it out. And the more and more you're seeing is you see more devs are going to have to figure out, are we going to go free to play or we're not going to go to free to play? It's just historically the only game that I could really think of besides the big three that did really well by becoming free to play was Rocket League. But it wasn't like free to play, like this is going to be free game. It just benefited from the program from PlayStation to be a PlayStation Plus free game for everybody. But that gave it the momentum that it needed. The game itself stood on its own because it's a fantastic game. And of course, has created a fantastic esports scene just based on the simple mechanics. It's just flying cars, playing soccer. Again, I'm hitting things again. It's the second episode. I'm hitting things all over the place. So that's where I'm at with this whole notion right now. You have Halo Infinite multiplayer being free to play. You have Call of Duty Warzone being free to play. These are AAA titles, people that could eat the cost of a lot of initially in the publishing and things of that sort because they know that they're going to have a loyal fan base. But where does that leave the other developers that cannot bank on make any kind of money from charging on the game, cannot rely on a free-to-play model when they don't have enough buzz? And at the bottom of the line is like you're just seeing so many games suffer. But free-to-play is not the ultimate golden pass. We saw Hyperscape being a free-to-play game, unable to do anything after a couple of weeks, unable to find a footing at it all. And that, to me, is a good game. I actually enjoyed a lot of Hyperscape. But Ubisoft, I thought that Ubisoft would have the ability to kind of hold tight and be able to resurrect that game like it did Rainbow Six. Because remember, when Rainbow Six first came out, did not do well. It took the dedication of a community to withstand Rainbow Six, the storm, and be able to find some fruition throughout the entire thing. But at the end of the day, I mean, you have to ask yourselves, gamers, like, are you willing to spend that $10, $15, $20? Especially when you have like Xbox Game Passes that you pay a monthly thing and essentially you get $60 titles for free. I mean, single player games are still going to be $60 to $70, especially in next gen. They're just going to cost more and more. So where does that leave the multiplayer? And that is the thing that I'm interested the most. And I mentioned this in a previous podcast. It's an unthought of consequence. When they released this cross-platform, everybody was hyped that Fortnite was able to break the mold and all of a sudden have Sony and Xbox and Nintendo's and mobile players all play together in PC. And then all of a sudden imbalance became an issue. Aim assist arguments. You cannot turn the corner in anything, and everyone just complains about controller versus keyboard and mouse. But here we are. All of a sudden, free to play on paper is a fantastic thing, and now it's causing chaos throughout the entire gaming space. I've yet to see any kind of free to play model work beyond the Battle Royale. I mean, usually free to play usually works really well on the mobile scene, but it relies on the big benefactors or the people that contribute the most money to those cosmetics. Genshin Impact is one of those games that was free to play, then all of a sudden was able to make a big impact when it comes to, no pun intended. Well, poor choice of words. I used impact twice. But the whole point I want to say is maybe it's just a simple fact that if your game is not good, it's not going to stand on its own 2 feet. That you could overcome a bad launch, a bad selection when it comes to free to play versus pay or cost, and maybe you can make it if your game's that good. Free to play sounds good on paper, but it may be costing us more than we think. Thank you so much for listening to the 10-Minute Checkpoint Podcast. I'm SanchoWest. We're talking about movies, video games, music, sports, wrestling, all within 10 minutes. And if you watch this on YouTube, be sure to follow, subscribe, leave a comment, do all those awesome things. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast services, be sure to follow and leave a high rating. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.